Hello, my name is Ozan Huseyin, and I'm a researcher whose work spans the legal, political, and social history of the Near and Middle East. I'm currently approaching this through the study of fine arts, museology, and material culture, with a focus on the region's influences and exchanges with Western Europe, as well as South and East Asia. In September 2025, I'm going to be joining ANAMED at Koç University as a postdoctoral fellow to undertake my project entitled Preserving an Empire: Ottoman Responses to Looting and Neglect Through Museums, Antiquities Laws, and the Printing Press. This project builds on my recently completed PhD thesis at SOAS University of London, where I examined how the Ottoman Empire confronted the looting, neglect, and preservation of antiquities. My research traced these responses through legal, museological, and discursive strategies, analyzing how the state addressed threats to both classical and Islamic era objects, monuments, and architectural remains. My academic path has been shaped by a deliberately interdisciplinary approach. I began with a bachelor's degree in socio-legal studies and criminology at the University of Westminster, where my thesis on the Cyprus conflict sparked a lasting interest in the political and historical dynamics of the Eastern Mediterranean. I then undertook my first master's degree in Near Middle Eastern Studies at SOAS, where I focused on the former Ottoman provinces. In particular, my thesis examined Ottoman Athens, where I interrogated the legality of the Parthenon marbles exports to Britain. In addition to this, I was also exploring how early 19th century neoclassical urban planning under the new Bavarian rulers sought to erase Athens' Ottoman past through a process of de-Ottomanization. My second master's degree in history of art and archaeology at SOAS then expanded my engagement with the material and artistic cultures of the Near and Middle East, as well as their comprehensive connections that stretched from Spain to China. This period deepened my interest in museology and provenance studies, leading me to further investigate Ottoman responses to foreign exports of antiquities. However, this time I shifted my focus from classical Greek to Islamic antiquities, and I examined the controversial German acquisitions of the Mashata facade and the Beheke mihrab tiles, which were exported to Berlin in the early 1900s. My doctoral research then extended this line of inquiry, framing such cases within broader questions of preservation, diplomacy, and imperial authority. A central contribution of my PhD was a critical reassessment of the Ottoman legal framework surrounding antiquities. I purposefully drew on original Ottoman Turkish sources, particularly the legal codes published in the Düstur, in order to challenge long standing misinterpretations that have been rooted in an over reliance on 19th century French translations of these laws. Alongside these legal sources, I also examined the Ottoman press as a vital discursive arena that promoted antiquities preservation while also openly criticizing both state neglect and foreign appropriation. I argued that calls for antiquities preservation were not merely bureaucratic interventions, but part of a deeply intellectual and political project, driven by the urgency to safeguard what remained of the empire in the name of the rising nationalism before it could be lost to colonial expansionism or sold on the international art market or absorbed into foreign museum collections. At ANAMED, I will develop this research further through a continuation of my hybrid methodology, integrating legal, visual, and discursive analysis. I will examine earlier Ottoman legislative traditions that laid the foundations for the later antiquities laws, while also exploring illustrated periodicals, travel logs, photographs, and paintings to trace evolving patterns in Ottoman responses to collecting, preservation, and export. A central focus of this project will be the main branch of the Ottoman Imperial Museum, located within the grounds of the Topkapi Palace. In addition to this, I'll also be looking at the smaller branches of the Imperial Museum, which were scattered across the provinces, such as Jerusalem, Konya, and Bursa. And what's particularly interesting about these are that they were founded within the grounds of state high schools, and therefore I will be approaching these institutions as sites of education and preservation, but also as mechanisms of surveillance and negotiation, especially in the face of mounting pressure from foreign powers competing for antiquities. So, through this lens, I aim to show the Ottoman state as an active participant in the international contest for over antiquities collecting, whether it was through resisting, negotiating with, or at times even collaborating with major foreign powers to assert control over the material past while reinforcing their imperial authority. Ultimately, this project seeks to illuminate how the late Ottoman Empire shaped and was shaped by international debates on antiquities ownership and protection. These are not only historical concerns, but also ones that continue to resonate today, and therefore, by situating Ottoman institutions within the broader conversations, my work aims to deepen our understanding of the past while contributing to contemporary discussions about the governance of antiquities, whether in situ or in museum collections. I therefore look forward to advancing this research at ANAMED and contributing to its scholarly community.